ULLA, Wakanda, all the way.
What's up, guys? Welcome to number 5, episode 5 of our Thursday Tailgate. I'm your host, Donnie Bennett with Wakulla FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and my co-host, the legendary, the one and only, the voice of the Wakulla War Eagles, Mr. Chris Savory. Chris.
I appreciate it, Donnie. Legendary, stretching it, but I'll take it. I'll take it all day long.
Hey, so man, I'm going to be honest with you. I am fired up about the game tomorrow.
Yeah.
I am this Godby game, man. I don't know why. Maybe because maybe my wife went to Godby, so maybe that's the reason. But I'm fired up, man. But before we get into Godby, talk to me about the last game.
Yeah, 5-0 on the season, man. A big 38-7 win against Gadsden County, a Gadsden County team that's up and coming. They're kind of down this year, but they're well coached. Coach Fuller for Godby does an amazing job, and he's going to have that team back up and very competitive in the very near future. But we were able to get away with a 38-7 victory at home, the first home game of a four home game stand, and we've improved to 5-0. And another game now, 2 games in a row. You know, we had the first 3 games where we'd go in at half tied up and then pull away in the second half. But for the second game in a row, going all the way back to the Santa Fe game, and now this game, really just domination from start to finish for the War Eagles. We go in up 21-0 at the half, and end up coming away with a 38-7 victory. And boy, did the guys get it done this week. I mean, it started off right off the bat early in the first quarter, at about with about 10:13 to go in the first quarter, so just a couple minutes after kickoff. Jordan Bolden back on the field. You know, he was out for Santa Fe, banged up, but he was back and healthy, and it showed. He had a 96-yard touchdown run there to get our first touchdown in the game, and it was a thing of beauty, man. He just bounced outside, found the edge, and really just put it into another gear, and ran away from. He had one man that was chasing down once he got past the 50, and he just pulled away from him. And it was a beautiful touchdown. Jordan Bolden, he finished the game, I got it written down here, he finished the game with 11 carries for 247 yards, man. 247 yards on 11 carries and a touchdown. I mean, that's amazing. That's a stat that just blows you away. 11 carries, 247 yards and a touchdown, and he got 96 of those yards there on that touchdown run. And man, it set the tempo for the rest of the game.
I was looking, and Chris, and I was looking at the back of the film, watching it, and I know, again, we at the beginning of our Thursday tailgate, we started saying, well, you know, the offensive line don't get enough credit, this, that, and we started giving them a lot of credit. Well, they're deserving of that credit.
Yeah,
and the reason I say this is because I've been watching, like I said, I'll check it in slow motion when I create these films and stuff. And man, you're talking about the blocking and what they're doing is just it's a thing of beauty. And you know what? I think they know that it's got to be perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they're not, and again, it's not a knock on them. They're not big enough to be able to work a different. They got to be perfect in what they're doing. And man, just seeing the offensive line do what they did was pretty impressive. And that obviously goes, of course, you know, Bolden's very athletic, very fast, but also to get those little holes and to be able to break is a big thing.
And we talk about it every week here on the show and in the Warrior Report that I do with Coach Cleese and on air during the football games. You know, the offensive line, we're always going to be the people we go against generally are always going to be bigger than us. We don't have the biggest offensive line, but what they make up for in their lack of size, they make up for in their technique and their ability and heart and ability to execute. And man, those guys, they just get it done week in and week out, opening up holes. And you know, when you can throw a back out for, you know, like Bolden, throw him out for 96 yards on a touchdown run. I mean, he had 247 yards on the ground, just him. You know, I think we finished the game somewhere around 300 yards rushing. We're averaging, you know, a little over 300 yards a game rushing. That doesn't happen without the offensive line. Without the offensive line doing their job. And we talk about it every week, and they're deserving of the recognition and the praise. I mean, you can't, you know, I've said it every single week, and I'll say it again. You cannot get your special teams guy or your special skills guys, your running backs, your quarterbacks, your receivers can't get their job done unless that offensive line first executes and gets their technique right. And we do it every week, man, and it shows in the stats and in the score.
And the call and the play calling's been really good too. I know some we'll break them off something. The next thing you know, we'll throw a little dish pass here, and and going on that, I think I expect, and I hate to say that, but I expect Worsham to have a crazy game. He was quiet last game. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he's been like all over the place, but the team really, the running backs and stuff really done their thing. He did have a great pass to Hughes, I think, in the corner. What's that? Was amazing catch. Was amazing. Yeah. And if you want to go check our highlights out, it's slow mo. You can check it out. Great catch. But it was amazing, and the defense was crazy. But what else you got on that game?
Yeah, so Jalen Worsham, he finished the game. You were talking about passing. He finished the game 12 of 22. He completed 12 passes on 22 attempts for 212 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of them was that great catch by Hughes, 15-yard touchdown catch. He also threw a 52-yarder to Denzel Miller.
That absolutely broke it.
He made the catch, and then he spun off the tackler, and it was just beautiful, and then just took off. And so Worsham was able to throw for 2 touchdowns. And on the ground, again, Brendan Wilson back in action in the second half. In the third quarter, he got a 23-yard touchdown rush. Chase Linville got a field goal, a 28 or 30-yard field goal, and then Jakari Irvin with a 68-yard touchdown rush. And what was special about that was the final score of the game for the War Eagles was the 68-yard touchdown rush. That was with about a minute to go in the game. But Jakari Irvin, what was special about that is, we bring him on that edge on a little speed sweep or whatever you want to call it. He finds that edge. No one's going to catch him, man. He's so fast, and you can see it on the film. Again, if you go back and I know you have it on the highlights. If you go back and look at it, he just finds another gear, and you see him just pull away.
And I think
from
you
the
and Craig
defender.
said, I think you and Craig said he's a dagger back.
Yeah.
He's that one that just puts that dagger in and goes, listen, there's just nothing we can do now. You know?
And he's so fast, and when that play's run right, it's almost unstoppable. Jakari Irvin has got a lot of speed, and he shows it every single week, and then he showed it with this 68-yard touchdown rush. But you can see on the film how he just pulls away from the defenders, and he's done that all year long.
Yep.
So
and there was some I know Hughes and Lyric Oaks. Lyric Oaks had a great interception. I know that what I noticed, man, the defense is just.
Listen, you can't brag on them enough. It's every week get it done. Again, the only score this week for Gadsden, or this past week for Gadsden, was a 70-yard kickoff return. It was just a great kickoff return by Gadsden County. Special teams has given up a couple of scores, but it hasn't really hurt us. But that's the only score. So the defense really did not give up a score. I mean, I don't know. We brag about them every week, and they're just.
But they deserve it.
Building,
they deserve it, man.
Building on their success, and every week it's amazing to watch them execute Coach Guess's game plan. And Lyric Oaks got an interception this week. Keyshawn Green led the team in tackles with 18 total tackles, 6 solo, 5 assists. You got Mikhail Keith and Sage Badwell both getting in there for a sack. So it's not that we're just making the stops defensively and not allowing the scores. We're causing turnovers. Right. We're causing disruption. That's the defense. That's something that causing disruption. That a good defense does. They don't just, of course they make the timely stops and they keep the scores off the board, but it's about disruption and just completely decimating the opponent's offensive game plan when they're going all through their playbook and nothing's working because we're either intercepting and we're sacking and we're tackling them for losses. We're making, big 3rd down and 4th down stops, and this defense this year has just been lights out, and they continue to do it every week. I know we brag on them all the time, but they keep building on their success, and it's really something to watch.
Yep. All right, so enough of that game because it's over. It's in the past. We know what happened. What do you know about Godby, and what do you expect, man?
Well, Godby, they're listen. That's a rival every year in and year out. It's a game that we circle on the calendar. I know they do. Coach Cleese and his coaching staff, they won't admit to that game being circled on the calendar. But again, I'm the radio host and a fan, so I can talk this way. It's always going to be the biggest, one of the biggest, if not the biggest game of the year. It kicks off district play, and a lot of times, more often than not, the winner of this game goes on to be district champs. For the past several years, it's just been a 3-team district between us, Godby, and Rickards. And, we've all taken our turns being district champs. Godby's been district champs. We've been district champs. And I think Rickards got one year where they were district champs. But this is the game that everybody, as a fan,
this
or
ain't
as
one you want to miss.
Yeah,
if you're in Wakulla County, you don't want to miss this game.
Absolutely, this is the Godby game, man.
Yeah.
There's nothing bigger, especially during the regular season. And again, it kicks off district play, and if we come out of here with a victory, I mean, we're in the driver's seat with only Rickards and Swanee left. But yeah, this is a game where it's a war. In the trenches, there's going to be some of the hardest licks of the game. Between the cornerbacks and the receiver, there's going to be some of the hardest hits of the game. Between our running backs and their linebackers or the defensive line, it's going to be some of the hardest hits of the season.
I think there's going to be some good highlights.
Yeah, it's just it's a battle. It's a battle every single year. Now, Godby's gotten the best of us, I think, the past 2 years. But listen, this team this year has really got something going for them. Now, Godby's 2-3 on the year, but that doesn't indicate.
Yeah.
They've played some teams that are very, very, very good and come up short against them. But they're fixing to take on a team with Wakulla that's just as good. And I look to come out on top and be in that driver's seat. We're 5-0. We win this game, we'll be 6-0 and sitting pretty in the district. But yeah, this is the game right here where the season's been going on. We're halfway through the regular season, but this is when the real season starts.
Yeah.
This is when things really start shaking out and falling into place. And coming away with a victory against Godby that would really be
phenomenal.
Yeah, phenomenal. I know I used that word 20 times last week, so I'm trying not to say it, but I want to say it so bad.
It's gonna be phenomenal, man. Say it.
It would be a phenomenal. It would be a phenomenal.
There you go.
Phenomenal win, and I look forward to it. Godby's going to come in. They're tough. They're big. They got a lot of size. They've got a experienced quarterback in Fisher at the quarterback position, but we've got an experienced quarterback with Worsham. I like the way we match up against him. I don't know if you can tell in my voice. I'm super excited about this game. I am every year about it. This year, I'm super excited, and we're at home. We need to pack that house.
Yes, absolutely.
We have such a distinct home field advantage, man. And the players see it, the coaches see it, and the opposing team see it. Godby's going to come with a crowd too. So this is going to be a great game. Has a chance to be an epic game. And I'm really looking forward to coming out of there with a victory.
All right, so here we actually got some questions for you.
All right.
So here we go. Number one for Mr. Savory. What's your most memorable moment as a player?
As a player. Okay, well, I'll bring this up, and I know the guys that played with me are going to make fun of it because I always bring it up. Listen, I was a undersized guy as it was, so I don't have many highlights. I played offensive line, left tackle, protected Craig, my co-host, blindside, but let's be honest, they ran, Coach Jones and them ran Marshane to the right side of the offensive line a bunch. But I graded out at 100% in a game one time, and Coach Tamaney was my coach. Coach Christopher Tamaney was my coach, and you're not supposed to ever grade out at 100%. And it's next to impossible to grade at 100%. That means you hit every assignment perfectly. But I did. I graded out 100%. Got Big Ben Athlete of the Week. Got my little picture in the paper. Back then, you used to go take a picture every week, and they'd put your stats. But yeah, I would say personally that, because I still use that to brag a lot today about the 100%. But I would think the best memorable experience, because it's a team experience, is making it back to the playoffs for the War Eagles. My senior year, we made it back to the playoffs after I think we had not made the playoffs in 10 years, and we made it back to the playoffs and took on Crestview in the first round.
What year was that?
That was 1994.
Okay.
So I guess as a team, my most memorable experience was that, making it back to the playoffs.
All right. Number two, we got three of them. So number two, most memorable moment as the voice of the Wakulla War Eagles.
Oh man, that's tough. because I mean the easy thing would be to point out the state championship games, but I'm going to have to say there's two. One, the first semifinal game where I think we were playing Ponte Vedra, and we went into triple overtime, and it came down to a goal line stand. And we made that goal line stand against Ponte Vedra to make it into the state championship game where we took on Miami Norland. But that, I remember Farrell Barrick was the play-by-play, and I was color at the time, and we absolutely went crazy in the booth. I think the second most memorable one, and you can hear you can hear the call on the play-in, and it really was it wasn't a game that really made a difference in the playoffs or the season. It was the third game of the season, but we played Navarre here at home, and we were down with 13 seconds on the clock. We were down by a touchdown. Felipe Franks was our quarterback, and Keith Gavin was our receiver. There's another year we went to the state championship game. Anyways, we were down by 6 points, I think, or something like that, and we were on their 20, and Franks took the snap, dropped back, and threw to Keith in the back of the end zone, and Keith came down with the catch, and the place lost it. I lost it on air. You can hear it on their play, and it's still one of my favorite moments.
Awesome. And the last one, where is this year's team stacked up against last year's team, and who wins that game?
Wow.
You're welcome.
That's a great question. Well, I'll answer the second part first, simply, and this might be a homer way of answering, but I'll take this year's team simply because it's this year, and I'm watching them. But where they stack up and where they rank up, this year we're smaller roster size wise by numbers, but we have a lot of experience. Our offensive line is much better than it was last year. So I would say where it stacks up is I'll go ahead and say it, and I don't know how confident I am in it, but I'll say we're better than last year, which is
right.
What you want to be. And I say this year's team beats last year's team, but it's close. It's a nail biter. Man, those are tough questions because each team is individually has its own individual identity. But if I have to,
does this one seem hungrier?
Yes, that's a great way to put it. This team seems very hungry, and
because that's what I see by watching. They just look hungry,
and they're tight, and they're close, and again, they believe in the coaches, and the coaches believe in them, and that's what you want to look for. So yeah, I'll take this year's team, and I take this year's team to win, but closer than the experts think.
I got you. Well, show's almost over, but I got a few things we're gonna go. If you got any questions to ask me whenever we're going through some of these things, just holler at me. Middle school stuff. So River Springs Middle School is 4-0. Mm-hmm. They play next Thursday at home against FAMU. I would encourage you to go out and check them out. They're really, really good. Wakulla Middle School Wildcats, they're 5-0.
Yeah. And
they play October 8th at home, and they're playing against Mariana. And this is one, Chris, man, I hope you mark your calendar.
Yeah.
Please mark your calendar. Yeah. October 18th.
That's going to be it.
RMS versus WMS in a battle of the county. You hear me? I'm telling you this. I've seen them both, and it's going to be. I think it's going to be a great game. It really is. Another thing. So Fellowship of Christian Athletes, we will be having Fields of Faith on October 9th at J.D. Jones Stadium. It will be a service led. Now here's the cool thing. You don't know this. This is the first time I'm letting it go. So it's led by our students, but there'll be some testimonies from some other students, and guess what else? A player of a game, Slade Watkins, will be the guest speaker.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yes.
He's a good kid.
Great kid, and we're excited about that. So anyway, so check that. It's October 9th. It's a Wednesday night, and it'll be really fun. I guess, Chris, man, I do have one other question. What do you think about this shirt, man? You like it?
I like
man,
it.
It's $7 on sale, man.
It'll work. I mean, it's no War Eagle shirt, but I'll take it.
Well, I know it's off blue a little bit.
I need to get you some War Eagle shirts, man. I gotta get you some War
somebody
Eagle shirts.
Look, it's gonna have to be a big one though. That's why I was amazed by this. $7, a lot of fabric for $7. So, anyways, outside of that, man, I do want to throw out one thing we talked about last week, and I really want to hit on it again. Felipe Franks, obviously I think his surgery went well, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if you know much more about that. But also, Chris and I talked a little bit off camera last week, and there's a lot of negative that goes on in this world, man, and there's a lot of negative outside of Wakulla County, and even some in Wakulla County that I've
Especially
noticed
on social media.
That on social media, and I think Chris really made it clear last week, man. If he hears anything positive, man, it needs to come from our own hometown,
Absolutely.
right where he played, where he gave his heart, or he sweated on that field for us, man. And I just encourage everybody, any kind of positive vibes, send them his way. But I definitely wanted to hit on that a little bit. Last, I'll let you take us home, man.
Yeah, I want to before we get out of here. We lost a guy that I considered a friend. He was also a teammate. I know you knew him really well, Mike Loggins. We lost him tragically this week in an accident, and man, that was it's heartbreaking. Mike was a good guy. And I think I posted something on Facebook about it. I remember back in high school, many times, I was kind of a smaller kid, and there's a couple times I was getting picked on or roughed up a little bit, and Mike stood up for me more than once, and helped me out, and he did that a lot, and he didn't have to, but he did, and I've never forgot it. And he's done it. I've come to find out he did that for more than one person. Mike was a heck of a running back. I was fortunate to play alongside of him. His son, Montarius, played just a couple years ago. Was on one of those was on that team that went to the state championship with Felipe and Keith and a host of others, where we narrowly lost. He went on to play at UCF. And Montarius is Mike's son, and Mike did a heck of a job with that young man, because he is a great young man. But Mike is he's going to be missed. I know a lot of people are still in shock about it. Breaks my heart. I like Mike, and I'll never forget the things he did for me. And I hate to see that he's gone so soon. But if you would say a prayer and have the Loggins family in your thoughts as they're going through this time. But Mike was he's somebody I'm going to miss, Donnie. He was a good guy, and proud of his son, proud of his time at Wakulla, and I just hate that he's gone.
Yep. Well, guys, we appreciate y'all checking us out. Go subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next week.
WAKULLA, Wakulla, on the way.